Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe Shrimad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharya Ashtodasat Sri Srimad Abhay Charna Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharya Ashtodasat Sri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 1, Text 58, chapter entitled Genealogical Table of the Daughters of Manu. So there is no purport for text 58. So we'll read the translation for that and then we'll chant text 59 together. Translation. Maitreya said, O Vidura, thus the demigods worshipped with prayers the Supreme Personality of Godhead appearing as the sage Nara-Nārāyaṇa. The Lord glanced upon them with mercy and then departed for Gandhamādana Hill. Text 59. Tav imau vai bhagavato harer amsav ihagato bhāra-vyayāya cha bhuva Kṛṣṇa yadu-kurūdvahau Tav imau vai bhagavato harer amsav ihagato bhāra-vyayāya cha bhuva Kṛṣṇa yadu-kurūdvahau. Mataji, please. abhiṣṭutau, both, imau, these, why, certainly, bhagavatāv, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, harer, of Hari, imau, part and parcel expansion, iha, here in this universe, agitau, has appeared, bhāra-vyayāya, for mitigation of the burden, cha, and bhuva, of the world, Kṛṣṇa, of the two Kṛṣṇas, Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna, yadu-kuru-udvahau, who are the best of the Yadu and Kuru dynasties respectively. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: that Nara-Nārāyaṇa Rishi, who is a partial expansion of Kṛṣṇa, has now appeared in the dynasties of Yadu and Kuru in the forms of Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna respectively to mitigate the burden of the world. Purport: Narayana is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Nara is a part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. Thus the energy and the energetic together are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Maitreya informed Vidura that Nara, the portion of Narayana, had appeared in the family of the Kurus, and that Narayana, the planetary expansion of Kṛṣṇa, had come as Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, with the purpose of delivering suffering humanity from the pangs of material burdens. In other words, Narayana Rishi was now present in the world in the forms of Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna. Om Ajnana Timurandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Devamrita Swaminiti Namane. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gauravata. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Ram Ram. So one time Srila Prabhupada was in Gujarat at a life member's house, and this person was introducing to Srila Prabhupada, this is my son, and this is my daughter-in-law, and this is their children. This is my daughter, the son-in-law, and the children. This is my son that's not married yet, and this is my daughter that's, getting education, like that. It was a big family. And Prabhupada turned to the disciples and whispered, saying, "This is my sex life." Basically, this man was proudly introducing what Prabhupada was saying, enlightening the devotees, like, what's going on. So, here we're reading about, the lineage. Why? Because Kṛṣṇa appears in this lineage. Whether it's Kapila or Arjuna and Kṛṣṇa, like that. Kṛṣṇa himself appears. So that's why we are reading about this. Otherwise, it's not like we're interested in, this, somebody's discussing all these things. And also when we read these things, we understand these are our ancestors. We didn't come from, monkeys, but these are our ancestors. It's so wonderful. So today is the celebration of Diwali, very famous festival. And it's also the day of Diwali that Mother Yashoda bound baby Kṛṣṇa. We're celebrating Damodar pastime. She was trying to bind Kṛṣṇa. The Acharya explained that Krishna's form is made of compressed cloud of eternity, knowledge and bliss. How can you bind someone that has no inside or outside or beginning or end? It's like nothing to do with matter. There's no tinge of matter. But Mother Yashoda's bhakti, determination and stubbornness in pure parental affection, Kṛṣṇa agreed to be bound. We can read about, Srila Prabhupada's determination to bring bhakti all over the world. We can read about it in the Lilamrita. So Kṛṣṇa let it happen. Bhaktair jitatvam puna prematastam satavriti vande. The third verse explains that Kṛṣṇa is not conquerable, but he becomes, bhaktair jitatvam. He becomes conquered. Only reason is the bhakti. Kṛṣṇa will come under the control of his pure devotees. That he wants to show in this pastime of Damodar. Iti drikshva lilabir. This Ananda Kunde, Swagosham, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy. So these pastimes are very personal inner stock pastimes, very intimate and confidential. Like we are reading in Srimad Bhagavatam about Purusha avatars and Leela avatars and like that. But this pastime we are reading about, we're discussing Damodar pastimes. It's very different. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Ete Chamsa Kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. The original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa, his pastimes are very confidential, very special. Jiva Goswami, he wrote 100,000 verses just on this, expanding on this verse, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. They call the Sat Sandarbhas. 100,000 verses focus on this point of Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So to hear and to be able to understand the sweetness of Braja Leela, we are being trained in the first 9 cantos. We are so we don't take it cheaply. Like Srila Prabhupada, one time the artists, they were painting, they were churning out a lot of Radha Krishna paintings. And Srila Prabhupada complained one time, who's responsible for this? I want to see paintings of how Kṛṣṇa is controller, supreme controller. Because without understanding Namam Ishwaram Satchidananda Rupam, without understanding Kṛṣṇa as the supreme controller, then we can misunderstand. How can we understand Namo Radhikaya and all this? One time one devotee went to Radha Kund and he was living there. And Srila Prabhupada asked him, like, why are you living there? Why not come and serve? Krishna Balaram Prabhupada was building the temple. And the devotee said, oh, you wrote in the Nectar of Instruction that that's the highest place. And Prabhupada said, you not even understood this beginning, vacho vegam, manaso krodha vegam. How can you go to the last verse? And Prabhupada said, Radha Kund may be the highest, but you're the lowest. So first, try to understand the basic. So Namam Ishwaram, without understanding, we misunderstand. Not even in Bharat, this proper understanding of Krishna. The Hindu forests love God and go straight to Rasa Leela. Prabhupada was staying in one gentleman's house in Chennai, and this person kept asking Prabhupada to speak about Rasa Leela. And Prabhupada said, no, we are not qualified. And the man said, I'm very qualified. And Prabhupada said, maybe you are, but I'm not qualified to speak about. So there's a lot of misunderstanding. This pastimes, Krishna's pastimes, Nara-Leela, very popular and also most misunderstood. But these childhood pastimes of Krishna is very special. The Acharyas explain that these pastimes are not even seen in Goloka, only seen in Gokula. Krishna performs mercifully these childhood pastimes to attract us. Like my Guru Maharaj was saying in a class, that content is the king. Nowadays the latest generation, they're into content creation. Krishna is the origin of this. And he is doing all this pastime. He wanted to make more mischief and play with friends just to increase Mother Yashoda's affection. And Krishna was inventing different ways to increase the love of the Brajabasis. It's constant, very dynamic. It's like one time Srila Prabhupada in the late 77, he wanted to go around Govardhan Hill, Govardhan Parikrama. And not like nowadays, back then there was like big potholes and it's not easy to do the Govardhan Parikrama. And Srila Prabhupada asked Lokanath Maharaj to bring bullock cart. And there was there was two groups of disciples. One were saying whatever the Guru wants we should do. And the other group was saying, we'll be responsible for killing Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, so be it, let me go to Govardhan. And this way they were, going back and forth. Finally, Tamal Krishna Maharaj and his group, they convinced Prabhupada not to do the parikrama because the body was just skin and bone, and Vrindavan heat and the potholes and jostling and bullock cart. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj convinced Prabhupada, please don't do this. And Prabhupada said, all right, I won't go. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj was saying to Prabhupada, the way you deal with us increases our love for you every moment, Srila Prabhupada. There was no dull moment. And Srila Prabhupada said, yes, it is my duty. Prabhupada agreed. And this famous god brother, Krishnadas Babaji, was with Prabhupada at that time. And Srila Prabhupada said to him, proud of his disciples, see how much these boys and girls, how much they love me. So bhakti is very dynamic, full of reciprocation and ever increasing bliss. Unlike the material experiences of this world, very quickly loses its flavor. Whatever it starts off nice, and then the same person we don't want anything to do with. In New York, the police department actually said that they don't even mind busting like terrorist groups and the gangs and drug dealers, but they don't want to get involved in domestic situations, because whatever begins off with like lake of love, pools of ecstasy, then turns into like lake of fire. My Guru Maharaj is saying the psychology, they call it the arrival fallacy. The psychologists, they call this arrival fallacy. Means, the expectation, like Prahlad Maharaj says, it's all in the mind. Shruti Sukham, Prahlad says, it's only heard of. This happiness people talk about, it's only heard of, it's not experienced by nobody. So this arrival fallacy, experiences of this world is all exciting. But when you get there, it's not happy, it's not there. Or it's not satisfying enough. Even if it's there, it's not satisfying. Like my Guru Maharaj gave one example in an outreach program. He said somebody's in a desert and they're dehydrated, they didn't have water, they're with their tongue out, they're all parched and dying. And somebody comes in a helicopter and screams, wait, I got water. And then they land and then they pull out a little dropper and they put 3 drops on the tongue. And the person looks at him and says, what is this? He said, water. I told you I have water. But it is water. Speaking of which. But not enough. Not enough. But bhakti experience, it's on another level. Ever increasing bliss. So in this pastime of Mother Yashoda, she was churning butter and Kṛṣṇa comes and stops her and asks for milk, and then Mother Yashoda is breastfeeding him, and then she hears the milk boiling in the stove in the kitchen. So she puts Kṛṣṇa down to go, take care of the milk. So the question is, why did Mother Yashoda interrupt such intimate service to Kṛṣṇa, in the middle of feeding Kṛṣṇa? So I came across this purport, which actually Srila Prabhupada helps us understand a devotee's position, how they are guided by Kṛṣṇa, what to do first and what to do next. It's incredible. Really amazing purport. Here it says, sometimes Srila Prabhupada is writing in the purport for, what is this verse? 10th canto, 9th chapter, verse 5. Srila Prabhupada is saying, sometimes one must take care of more than one item of important business for the same purpose. Therefore, Mother Yashoda was not unjust when she left her son to take care of the overflowing milk. On the platform of love and affection, it is the duty of the devotee to do one thing first and the other things later. The proper intuition by which to do this is given by Kṛṣṇa. And then Prabhupada quotes this verse, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam datami buddhi yogam tam enamam upayanti te. In Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada says, everything is dynamic. Krishna guides the devotee in what to do first and what to do next on the platform of absolute truth. What an amazing purport. Krishna is, like that famous example, like Prabhupada was telling a reporter that, the reporter asked, how do you write these books? And Prabhupada said, Krishna tells me what to write and I write. And the disciple, wanting to make the reporter understand, help out the reporter understand this deep subject, said, actually what Prabhupada means is there's a super soul in the heart, and like that. Prabhupada said, that's not what I said. Prabhupada said, Krishna directly tells me what to write and I write these books. So, advanced devotees, they have Krishna. And Krishna wants to show that to those who are all attached to opulence and powers, he is actually conquered by devotees' pure love. Devotees' pure love is so great that Krishna wants to come under the control of the devotees' pure love. In the Bible there is a saying that, the beginning is to have the fear of God. But that's not everything, that's just the beginning. But what we are reading is very advanced subject matter. And people in general can't even understand that, they're not the body. What to speak of understanding a blue boy, being tied to a grinding motor by his mother with a stick in her hand. Probably they'll misunderstand and think Mother Yashoda needs like some kind of child psychology course or something. But, this is the kind of public that we are trying to share Krishna consciousness. This is our anxiety. How, we can connect them with Krishna and Srila Prabhupada books so that they can understand. Prabhupada writes in the purport that, suffering humanity from the pangs of material misery. This is the reason for all the incarnations and devotees appearing in this world. Srila Prabhupada didn't want it to come to this world. He was having Prabhupada was telling, forgot which disciple, Bhavananda Prabhu, that I didn't want to come to this world, but Krishna said, just go and write these books and come back. So Prabhupada and all the acharyas and incarnation was the point of coming here to free the suffering humanity from the pangs of material misery. And Prabhupada said, his mantra was, how can I do, how can I do, how can I do? Repeatedly, we can also pray in the footsteps of Prabhupada, like how can I, please allow us to meet somebody favorable that, we can read Prabhupada books with them and introduce them to chanting. So, this is what Prabhupada is reminding us in the purport, that our duty is to help the suffering humanity. And in the pastime of that Vasudev leper, he was so advanced devotee, this devotee Vasudeva with, leprosy, the graphic example of compassion, like if a worm, he had living worms in his body, and if a worm would fall down from his body, he would put it back in the same place. Anyway, he was so amazing that he had a realization that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lord Chaitanya was nearby, and then Lord Chaitanya left. They didn't have darshan. And then this devotee fainted, saying, I'm so unfortunate and so condemned, and I don't deserve much. Then Lord Chaitanya, understanding his mood, came back and embraced him and healed him. His nose was melted off and became so beautiful, like a sesame flower, and his complexion and skin color and everything changed by the Vasudeva Amruta Prada. This leper Vasudeva was healed by this Amruta of Lord Chaitanya, one of the names of Lord Chaitanya. Anyways, after all this, his worry was that now that you heal me, people will know that God personally embraced me and all this. I'm going to become proud. He was worried. And Lord Chaitanya gave similar instruction that he gave to the Kurma Brahmana to him. That Yaradika Tarikaho Kṛṣṇa Upadesh Amara Gyai Guru Hana Tara Hidesh. He said, whoever you meet, whoever we come across, we tell them about Krishna. In this way, become a spiritual master and deliver. We may not be able to travel internationally and spread Krishna consciousness, but whoever we meet, we can tell them about Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada writes in this connection, in one of his purports, that every member of the Krishna Consciousness Society has been rescued from an abominable existence. So, sometimes I used to have this conversation with my family members. Not everybody thinks, they're an abominable existence, the power of Maya. But according to the standard of Vedic culture, everyone is fallen. Everyone is in fallen condition. Even if we say, like, okay, I'm absorbed in punya, even still it's considered fallen, because punya is not pure bhakti. Like one time, a group of devotees were taken to first to Ganga and then later to Vrindavan in Yamuna, and somebody asked the guide, the devotee guide, what's the difference between Ganga and Yamuna? And the devotee explained, when you bathe in Ganga, you lose your sins. But then when you bathe in Yamuna, you lose both your sins and pious credits. Immediately everybody came out. Because we lose these things, which is material, but we get love for God, which is like the goal. So Srila Prabhupada mentions every member of the Krishna Conscious Society has been rescued from an abominable existence. So, personally speaking, if we can understand and chant Hare Krishna, anybody can also. So I will stop here. If we have any comments or Dhruta Karma Prabhu wanted to say something.
You were mentioning during the earlier part of your class that material pleasure isn't very satisfying. Everybody experiences that. Then in bhakti yoga and Krishna consciousness, there's superior pleasure. So why aren't thousands of people lined up outside the door here trying to get some of that?
Yes. So that's a very good point. First, like we have to introduce also, we have to introduce to thousands of people Krishna consciousness. And in the Nectar of Devotion mentioned, even in the early stages, even a new bhakta gets a woof of the fragrance of the experience of this advanced stages of bhakti. So, it takes some, like Srila Prabhupada was in a morning walk back then, they were saying why not many Indians are coming. Some disciple asked Prabhupada, why many Indians are coming. Prabhupada said, that's a limited vision, Prabhupada told him. You're just seeing for now. Prabhupada said, just like clouds, Prabhupada gave the example. There's a little cloud formation and then more cloud formation and then more cloud formation and then all of a sudden there's a downpour. So Srila Prabhupada said, it will come, the day will come where there will be millions and millions of people from Bharat taking to Krishna consciousness in the morning walk, Prabhupada, and it's happening now. The devotees, leaders told me, Gauranga Prabhu told me that there are 10,000 devotees in college campuses. They're chanting 16 rounds and following the regulative principles. This is just in college campuses, fully fixed up. And recently they had a program in Delhi and there was like close to 500,000 or something audience to hear some devotee speaking. So if we do our part, people will line up Krishna's. That's the plan of Krishna. That the day will come. Like I saw one interview where Obama pulls out a little deity of Hanuman from his pocket and he's showing to a person interviewing him. He said, I was asked to pray to this Hanuman, the monkey god, and he's embracing like Radhanath Maharaj. I was just picturing, imagine he comes across a class by Radhanath Maharaj and playing it in this cabinet in White House. Like Jay Shetty is pretty popular and influential, Will Smith, and unseen, like there's a lot of mainstream spreading of Krishna consciousness going on. So we just have to wait. We may not be around to see it. Like they say, the farmer that plants like sandalwood tree may not be able to sit under the tree and enjoy the shade because, we're planting the seed and the day will come where thousands and thousands, like my Guru Maharaj was speaking in Gita Nagari, farm community in Pennsylvania, which is there for 4 months. And he was saying to the leaders there, don't underestimate right now thinking like, nobody wants to come to this farm and live here. The day is going to come very soon if there's war and recession and horrible leadership and there's like shortage of food and supplies. There's going to be a big line of people wanting to come and live here. So you better prepare the facilities now. So these days are just, around the corner, and Krishna's got a plan. And Mahaprabhu's prediction, Sarvatra Prachara Haibe Moranam. Like what Srila Prabhupada's time, nobody even believed, that this can happen. And, we are in it, we're like pioneers, and then what's going to come next, Krishna. Sorry for the long-winded response, but is that okay, Prabhu? You want to add something?
No, it was a genuine question. If I knew the answer, I wouldn't ask it.
Oh, Sachito, no, I had here in the front. Oh, sorry.
This is a reflection, Prabhu, of your class, but if somebody has a question, I can be after that.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Okay, you mentioned in the beginning about the pastime of Mother Yasoda, and then you also mentioned about what Srila Prabhupada responds, what to do. In doing service, sometimes, you have to priority from one service to another service. So the pastimes of Krishna, of course, are bewildering. It's very difficult sometimes. It might be difficult to understand unless the spiritual master or the acharyas can explain to us. In that way, I had a reflection that even sometimes when the spiritual master is right in front telling you, you might not understand. I'll give you an example. I was remembering Prabhupada's memories in which a secretary of Srila Prabhupada went to the Pujari room while the Pujari is offering boga. But Prabhupada sent him, can you get me some prasadam, some food to eat? And then the secretary went and asked the Pujari. The Pujari said, it's not offered yet. So he went back to see Srila Prabhupada and he told him, what is the food? He said, it's not offered yet. He said, I'm hungry, I want to eat. So he came back. He told the Pujari, Prabhupada wants to eat. And then the Pujari suddenly realized, my spiritual master is right here, because he was going to offer first to the picture of Prabhupada. That's what we usually do. First to the Guru, then to Parampara and Krishna. So then he, that's one, like choosing sometimes what's the priority, what to do. And another example is the one that you just gave also. I was reflecting in that, in his last days when Prabhupada was sick, you mentioned about, I want to go to Govardhan. And the disciples were battling, trying to figure out what to do. And Prabhupada's right there. So some devotees were citing, no, this is not good for Prabhupada. But the other ones, no, the Guru is saying, so we should do this. Of course, the culminations out of love, both of them. So then, if we can bring, we go back to Lord Mother Yasoda and Krishna, somebody can argue and say, well, you're supposed to please Krishna. Krishna is right there physically. And why don't you just do that as a priority? And let the milk boil, what's the big deal? Krishna is crying right here and asking you. So how to know these things? Would you like to?
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada says that as we advance in bhakti, then we get the intelligence how to proceed. Proceed, like what to do first and what to do next. Acharya Prabhu, you want to?
He has a question.
Yeah.
So you were going to speak. He has a question.
Yes. So as we Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, so it's not always like just we can only take guidance from Paramatma or our spiritual master. Sometimes that sectarian mentality, like, it's just my guru, like it's all about my guru. No, there so many advanced Vaishnavas are there. We can, the scriptures explain the god brother of the spiritual master is as good as the spiritual master. So when you see another advanced devotee, we can take guidance in the absence of the spiritual master. So this way, if we are sincere, then like that devotee in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he's got so many gurus. This Kurari hawk, he says is my guru. How is a Kurari hawk my guru? the Kurari hawk is carrying a dead body in his claws, and the big vulture comes and says, "Give me the food, otherwise I will kill you." And the Kurari hawks let go of the dead flesh. Let go, like detachment. So he's learning the 11th canto from from the water and the trees. So if somebody is really inspired, there's plenty of guidance available. But if we don't want, we see everybody as fallen, and sometimes we become empowered also to fault find. Really look at someone. You can write a thesis about all those, their fall downs. So then Krishna gives us intelligence how to find fault. We can be like Ramchandra Puri, or we can be like Ishvara Puri. So the mercy is available if we are open and sincere and pray. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Shastra-krit, thank you very much for your wonderful class, for sharing so many Prabhupada pastimes. Very nice. So in the last phrase of the purport, Prabhupada gives the for us to take it that Arjuna might be like a partial incarnation of Nara-Nārāyaṇa. Is that true?
Yeah, I have to. In the purport, Prabhupada says he's representing the jiva. That I was reading this purport myself and I was asking all this question, but overall, if you look at Prabhupada's teachings, he's explaining that Arjuna is like an empowered jiva. Because every time Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita, he speaks it to Arjuna, and is the brother-in-law of Krishna and a disciple, and it's a very special being. So Prabhupada says the one of them, the Narayan, is God, and the other one is qualitatively God, which like us also, one time devotees asked, I will end here in a second. One time Srila Prabhupada said Jayapatak Maharaj is an eternal associate of Panchatattva. So one of the devotees went to Srila Prabhupada and said, "Is that true?" And Prabhupada said, "We all are." In a sense. So Arjuna represents the jivatma, and Nara-Nārāyaṇa is the combination. So thank you all so much, very much. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna Mata. All glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Babaji.